You clicked on this video because you have an Etsy shop and you want to make sure you keep it safe. Smart move. Knowledge is power, and by the end of this video, you will be powerful. I recently came across this article here, and I will be talking a bit more about it toward the end of the video. Such an easy mistake to make, but if we know not to make it, then we could save ourselves the heartbreak of losing our shop. In this video, we're going to cover 5 of the top reasons Etsy shops get shut down, and we are going to start with the most dangerous one. We're also going to be covering what you can do in these situations. A quick disclaimer, you should always do your own research on these things. I can't give you legal advice. I am just sharing with you research I have done for myself to help keep my shop safe to the best of my ability. Number 1, and this is the most common and most dangerous reason that Etsy shops get suspended. This can often lead to a permanent suspension, which there isn't a lot of things you can do to combat that. Number 1 is trademark violations and copyright infringements. Many of us have made this mistake before, myself included. If you are a subscriber here, you know I have shared some stories about this very thing. So if you have made this mistake too, don't beat yourself up. Just fix it ASAP and move forward. If you have to pivot your shop in another direction because you unknowingly filled it with these type of infringing listings, then do it. Let's start by just getting an understanding of what these things are. A copyright is something a creator can claim for an original work, and these can be hard to protect and hard to prove. A trademark is a picture, a word, a logo, design, or phrase that someone has registered with the government. It's easy to prove or disprove because there's an active document where it can be looked up. I do have a whole video about this with lots of examples, and I will link it down in the description below if you need to educate yourself further on that. I'll also go ahead and link a video down in the description about how to check for trademarks to make sure that you are not using a phrase that someone has legal protection for. And honestly, it is shocking how many things are trademarked. For instance, you can't put the word realtor on a shirt. That's currently trademarked. The generic term would be real estate agent. A few others are onesie. Gerber has a trademark on that word. You could use the word baby bodysuit. Jet ski is trademarked. I have a jet ski and wanted to make some fun shirts about spending the day out on the sandbar, like jet ski hair, don't care. Personal watercraft hair, don't care. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it. But you know what? Don't let those kinds of things stop you. Sandbar hair, don't care, can be just as fun, maybe even more fun, and will still get the message across. Also, remember, you can't use that trademarked word or phrase on the item itself, whether it be a shirt or a mug or a tote, but you also can't actually use it in your SEO, your search engine optimization phrases, your title and your tags. You can't use it there either. Even if you only use it in your tags and you don't have it on the shirt, your listing can still get flagged and deactivated and a strike against you, or this could lead to a suspension. And you might be wondering about that onesie from earlier. Can you put that in the drop-down menu so people can select their sizes? I don't. I go ahead and play it safe, and I use baby bodysuit there. One of the first niches I got into was the Jeep Girl niche. I had just gotten a Wrangler, and Tucker and I were having so much fun, having so many fun adventures with the top down and little Tucker in the back seat. I had so much fun making Jeep Girl stuff, and by the time I realized I shouldn't be doing that, I was 300 to 400 listings deep in Jeep Girl stuff in my shop. It was over half of my listings. And it was one of my most inspired places to be designing. As a matter of fact, I even considered completely making a niche store and just starting to design Jeep Girl stuff and Jeep things. I was starting to get fairly consistent sales, so at that time, maybe every 2 to 3 days, I would get a Jeep Girl order coming through. At one point, I was getting sales, maybe orders every other day, sometimes every 3 days, but one day I remember being at school and I just was filled with excitement because I had 6 orders come through by the time I left school, so it was like 3 o'clock, and Usually I had an order maybe one day, 2 orders another day, no orders, and to have 6 in one day was super excited. They were almost all the Jeep Girl things. I finally felt like I was getting somewhere on Etsy, and I loved these customers. They would message me about the fun outings they were going to be going on in their Jeeps. They gave me awesome reviews. They were so excited about these really custom shirts that they were getting. My heart fell to my toes when I found out that this was a no-no. I started to transition away from Jeep stuff. I didn't make anything new that was Jeep related. All my old things that were, even though these were where my consistent sales were happening, it was really only, maybe 7 or 8 of the listings that were selling. So all of those other listings started to expire, and I just didn't renew them. But I also didn't have the heart to go in and deactivate all of those Jeep Girl listings proactively, especially the ones that I was selling from. Jeep came in and got me for 5 of the listings. Now, again, I had 300 to 400 listings, and they came in and they got me for 5 in that one morning. What I did next saved my shop from ruin. And this article here made me all that much more thankful that I did what I did next. But we'll come back to that in just a bit. Now, you might be thinking right now, but everyone else is doing it. I was following a Jeep shop, and that was their only niche. They did all Jeep things. And their shop, they started around the same time I did. Their shop was having faster growth. I remember being at I was a little over 100 sales, and I remember them being a little over 100 sales, and before I knew it, they were at 300, and I was still in the hundreds. So as I watched this, I considered making a completely niche store and just doing Jeep stuff. And luckily I didn't, because now that store that was only doing Jeep stuff, by the time I was at 600 sales, their shop was gone. It was no longer on the Etsy platform. So honestly, just because everyone's doing it doesn't mean it's a good idea. They are taking an unnecessary risk. And I say unnecessary because there are just so many things that you can sell, designs that you can sell that are perfectly safe, that sell really well. Tons of money to make in the safe area. So if you're telling yourself a lie that, oh no, I can't sell anything if I don't make it really, really, Disney or Jeep or whatever it is, you're wrong. You can sell stuff even if it is more generic than that. You don't need to take that kind of unnecessary risk. Let's chat for a second about what could happen if you chose to keep these kinds of things in your shop. Typically, the lawyers that work for these companies come in and they do a sweep and they report your listings. Etsy then deactivates them and you get a strike, you get a warning, or you might get a message from the trademark owner themselves sending you a cease and desist warning. And of course, sometimes it's worse than a deactivated listing and it will cause a shop suspension, especially if it is a large quantity of your shop containing these trademark violations. Yeah. Wait, remember I had 300 to 400 Jeep listings and I just got flagged for 5. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Suspension also becomes more likely if it is a repeated violation and they're getting you for the same one repeatedly, or it could be different ones, but now it keeps happening. You don't want to keep relisting the same listings that Etsy deleted or warned you about. You definitely don't want to reactivate a listing they deactivated, and you need to really identify what the issue was so that you don't continue making listings with the offending same mistake. And of course, you can actually even be sued by the company you're infringing on. Once your shop has been permanently suspended, you can appeal that. I've heard people speak about appealing and still being unable to get their shop reopened. But then I've also heard of people that have said they were denied and kept consistently sending messages to Etsy and were able to get it open. So if I were in that situation, I would probably be doing that. The only other thing that I've heard of people doing is not only is your shop, if you get permanently suspended, probably all of your shops could potentially get shut down, and you're not allowed to open new shops. So if you try to open a new shop, sometimes people have tried to do that under a new email address, and sometimes it'll let them open it, but then it gets shut down because Etsy's not using your email address or banking information to connect you. They're actually using your IP address. So there are ways to open a shop under a new IP address, but that could be a little complicated. But if you're in that situation, maybe that's something that you want to investigate and look more into. I don't really know much more than that about it though. Reason number 2 that shops get shut down, and this one's got a much easier fix, an overdue Etsy balance. If you've got a past due balance, you will get suspended until it's paid. It should come back up on its own within an hour or so of paying your balance. So just be sure you keep your bank card or credit card information up to date, especially before you start making sales, because as you're listing, you're paying those 20-cent fees, and you just want to make sure that you're able to cover those fees. And if once you start making sales and enough sales to cover your costs, they'll take that out of your earnings before paying you. But it's really important in the beginning, just make sure that that's all up to date so you don't have to worry about getting a suspension for that. Reason number 3, if you're selling items that aren't qualified to be on Etsy, and I'm probably going to tell you something right now that maybe you haven't heard before, and it would probably be a good thing to know before Christmas. I'm going to leave a link to Etsy's handbook so you can review this for yourself, but a few things I thought I'd mention real quick. But real fast before I do, if you are finding value in this content, if you wouldn't mind taking a second to subscribe and like this video, that would mean so much to me. Thank you. Okay, so Etsy really began as a homemade platform, and even though they allow for print on demand to be sold on the site, they still have certain restrictions. One thing to remember here is that we have to disclose our printing partner, our production partner. You will be able to check this off in your listing, but do be sure to be honest about this. Something else that I personally ran into is that there are very specific rules for selling children's pajamas. So let's say for the holidays you have some listings that say Christmas pajamas, and you've got also kids, maybe in the drop-down menu or in the title or the tags, it says something about kids. This could wind up getting you into hot water and getting your listings deactivated, because a shirt, even though it's a shirt and it's not actually pajamas, if you are calling it pajamas or a pajama shirt, then you're selling it as a pajama shirt, and that shirt would have to meet all these special restrictions that kids' pajamas have to meet. And if you haven't proven that you can meet all of those restrictions, then your listing is going to get flagged. And here is a little screenshot from the Etsy Seller Handbook, which I will leave links to in the description. And I won't read the whole thing to you, but I thought I might just mention the item that reads that hate items, including items that promote, support, or glorify hatred, and violent items that promote, support, or glorify violence are prohibited. These are not always as obvious as you might think. And if you are in the political niche, I know some trending phrases have gotten flagged for this. For example, designs that said derogatory things about a female vice president. So best just to keep this top of mind and maybe stay on the more positive side with your designs. Number 4, you can get suspended for disrespectful communication. So just stay professional with your customers. And number 5, you could be suspended for a high rate of buyer complaints. Complaints, 1-star reviews, and cases being opened against you, those things are going to happen. That's just part of business. But be sure to answer customers' concerns quickly when they message you. It can be easy to try to put this off or avoid it for a bit, because it's not fun, especially in the beginning when you don't know how to handle it and you're like, oh no, and you're really worried about refunding someone a shirt because you're not making any money yet. That can be something that I know I was just wanting to put my head in the sand and not deal with it. Best to just deal with it right away. Because if you don't, this very quickly is going to lead to them feeling like they just got scammed, or now they're upset and they're being ignored. That's much more likely to result in their leaving a bad review or opening a case against you. So just deal with it swiftly. Also, just be sure that your listing photos and descriptions actually portray the items that your customers are going to receive. Otherwise, they're going to feel upset. They're going to feel scammed if they're not receiving something that looks like the picture. And this is going to lead to all of those negative things happening. An easy one to get tricked up with is if you use a Bella Canvas mock-up photo, which I often do that, and I sell a Gildan, but I make sure the tag is removed. I use my design app to remove the tag. Now, if you didn't do that and that person zoomed in on the tag to see what they were going to get. Ask me how I learned this. I did learn it the hard way. And then they received the shirt and they were expecting a Bella canvas but got a Gildan shirt. They might not be happy if they were a customer that really was looking for a Bella canvas shirt. That leads into an unhappy customer. And Etsy does not like for your photos not to accurately describe your items. So if you did make that mistake and someone does reach out to you about that, refund them or send them a new shirt on a Bella canvas. Or if it was the other way around and they wanted a Gildan and they saw a Bella canvas tag, say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'll send you the Gildan, or refund them. But either way, go ahead and take care of that because they have a foot to stand on. Etsy's probably not going to like it. If they open a case, they're probably going to award that customer with refunds. Reason number 6 that shops get suspended: late shipping of your orders. If you find your orders are going out late, then you might want to go ahead and adjust your shipping settings. Go to your shop manager and find settings and then shipping settings. Click the little pencil to edit them. You can adjust the processing time and the shipping time. Mine are currently set to 2 to 6 business days for processing and 1 to 3 business days for shipping. If you currently have some that are late to ship, you can head back into your shop manager and find the orders and shipping tab. You can filter them so that the overdue ones pop up to the front. Find the order and hit the 3 little dots over to the right. Hit update ship by date. You could select how many days extra to give that order. Be generous here for yourself because you only get one shot at this. If you say 3 days and it still hasn't shipped 3 days later, then it's going to go to late status again, and there's nothing you could do other than cancel and refund the customer if you want to get it out of your late status. So just give yourself some extra days. Maybe put 5 or 6. I also always message the customer when I do this. Etsy will automatically send them a message, but I go ahead and add to that message because I don't want them to just get a message that says, hey, your stuff is running late. This is your new estimated delivery window. I say something like, hey there, we expect this to ship soon and just wanted to keep you in the loop. We're wishing you a great weekend. Or maybe I say something related to the shirt they bought. If it's a teacher shirt, we're wishing you a great day at school or something like that. And remember this article here from earlier? Let's swing back to that for a sec. I will leave this article linked down below so you can check it out yourself. My heart goes out to her, and she was honest enough to share her story with us so that we wouldn't make the same mistake she did. She was selling phone grips, and from what I gather, the design she used was trademarked by PopSocket. They got her for 4 listings in that warning. The really unfortunate thing here, and I could have seen this happening to me or anyone else, is that she had a 5th listing in her shop with this design on it. It wasn't part of that initial sweep or part of that initial warning. It was just the 4 listings. I suppose she didn't realize that that was still in there. And I don't know how much later it was or how much time passed, but they came in and got her again. And when that one was reported, she was considered a repeat offender, repeatedly making the same mistake and getting flagged for the same thing, and got a permanent suspension for this. Oh wait, hold on. Remember those 300 to 400 Jeep Girl listings in my shop? Well, I had only gotten flagged for 5 out of those 300 to 400 Jeep Girl listings. I was doing yard work over summer vacation, and I had my phone on me because I was listening to music. At one point I popped it out and I saw a banner come across my phone. It was an email from Etsy, and I don't remember the verbiage, but I became quickly aware that it was a problem. I sat down for a second, took my gloves off so I could touch the phone and open the message. I got goosebumps everywhere as I read that they had flagged me and I had gotten caught for these 5 Jeep Girl listings. I immediately came inside. I was covered in tree sap and in dirt and little sticks and grass. I came right in and sat at the table. I went through my shop for the rest of the afternoon and into the night, pulling out all of the Jeep Girl listings, trying to make sure that I didn't miss anything that said Jeep Girl or Jeep on it or in the title or the tags. Seeing what I've been able to build since then, when I was making just a couple of $100 profit a month to now thousands of dollars profit a month, it just seems like a really irresponsible decision that I made at the time to keep that Jeep Girl stuff in after I was aware that I shouldn't be doing it. I just couldn't see it go out of my shop. And so what? Maybe I made another $200 on Jeep Girl stuff. And I just didn't realize at the time that I was gambling with the entire course my future was about to take. So if you are having things like that in your shop, or you feel like, oh no, I can't take this out of my shop because it's selling, I am here to tell you that yes, you can. You can take it out of your shop and you still can recover from that. Don't leave me. Let's keep chatting in this video here. But of course, not until after that tip from Tucker. Tucker, take it away.